MLT, and I'm an alcoholic addict.
Yo, welcome to Recovering Addict. I'm LT, and you know what? I got character defects, and I'm working on them, so deal with it.
Same.
So,
Hey, everybody.
you gonna say hi?
Hi.
Who are you?
Please.
Do you guys remember who we are?
Are you to this game?
Are your character defects making you blind like me? I've been on one the last couple days.
I blame Warzone.
Warzone? I have been rocking Warzone, and it pissed me. Oh, okay. Funny story, real quick, before we get into this content of the show today. I get pissed off when I play video games. I do, okay? And shit wasn't working out right. I had my headphones on, these ones right here. And I'm on like this, right? And I'm pissed. I'm like, fuck! And I just fling them off my head, and Fleece is sitting over there across the way on the couch.
At least 10 feet away.
Perfect rainbow, right to her dog. And bam!
Almost threw him back.
She was like, yeah! My anger transferred from me to her, and then I was
I
laughing.
was supposed to screw the headphones. That's why I blame Warzone.
I blame sleep apnea, though. But anyway, we're glad you're all here. We have a special guest tonight. His name's Kyle from Soberdogs on YouTube. So without any further ado, I'm just going to bring him on. What up, dog?
So I guess not to piss you guys off when you're playing video games. What's going on? Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Heck
Awesome.
Yeah. Glad you're here, brother.
Love the energy.
Thank you. Yeah, so we got a bunch of people watching. We're going to shout out to them just real quick so we can see who's here. We got Cherie, who is number one. Right on. And Brad, she wasn't cheating. She just shows up. She just shows up, dog. And Marilyn, good to see you. Glad you're here. Amanda, Mad, you know we love you. I love how Marilyn is the purple M&M. I can't get that out of my head every time I see it now. She's the purple M&M. Leslie, welcome to the show. Good to see you all. I'm glad everybody's here. Andrew, I mean Harold. What's going on?
His name's Harold. Your name's Letitia.
He changed my name to Letitia, so his name's Harold now. Brad Woodland, good to see you. Glad you're here. Brad, I'm not a camper. I'm just very strategic and kick ass at that game. Christine, good to see you. Glad you're here.
My head says otherwise.
Hey, Sarah. Anyway, so we're going to let Kyle share his story. You know, we're all the same, right? At the end of the day, there's no unique person about us. We all have addiction, and it's because of something. You know, us addicts, we've gone through things. We have a little bit different DNA. That's, you know, what the doctor's opinion says. We have an allergy to it, and it just takes off and kicks some of our asses. And Kyle's been down the same road we have. So I'm going to let him share his story, and we'll just jump in and talk. You know how it goes. So, Kyle, floor is yours, brother.
Of course. Well, again, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm same story, not unique. Well, I mean, unique story, but same. Same as everybody, like you said. For me, it was all based on fear. I always, from as soon as I can remember, pre-teen-ish, 8, 9, 10, 11, just this fear of expectations set up in Kyle's head. Nobody put them on me. I got great parents, a great upbringing. They're not addicts or alcoholics. I got an older brother. He definitely partied very hard and broke my parents in a little bit and broke me in a little bit, so to speak, with partying. But he's, you know, never had a problem doing fine. It was just always stuff in Kyle's head right from a young age. And that culminated in the beginning with you know, girls and flirting and puberty and all that. And the first time, you know, I had a chance to drink, I was with a buddy. We're in Myrtle Beach. I was 13 or 14, right at that age. And, you know, we hung out with a bunch of girls that were in the hotel next door from the same town we were in. And it was just awkward and anxiety and this and that. And the next night we got some liquor. His older brother found it, you know, did the good older brotherly thing. And you guys can't handle your vodka. So he took it and brought us back beer. And we hated the taste so much. We were pouring sugar packets in it and it was foaming up everywhere. But
how old were you at this time?
13.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we were started pretty young. And but got it down. And then on the way to hang out with the girls, there was a guy, one of their cousins was on his way out to a club or something. And he was like, come on in, guys. I'll have a beer with you before we go. And so we're like, all right. And we go in there and he had a funnel. So that to me was like, beautiful. I don't like the taste. I can get it down quick. And probably, I don't know, 7-8 beers, but it was my first time I ever drank. I was, messed up. And I remember thinking I was smooth, no anxiety. I'm talking to the girls. How I actually acted, I have no idea. But all I knew is I loved it because it was something that just shut Kyle's brain down, just took that anxiety off for a minute. And after that, anytime anything was offered to me, I was willing to give it a shot. If I assumed that drugs or any substance, would have some effect like alcohol to exit reality, so to speak, and I was game. And that progressed, it wasn't all the time in the beginning. It's not like I wasn't drinking daily at 13 or anything, but through 14, 15, 16, it just slowly more weekends and then occasionally a night or two here. And then I surrounded myself with the people at school who partied hard. And throughout that whole time, I always did very well in everything outside too. And I did that, I guess, because my parents raised me very well, but also because I learned from a young age kind of these manipulating behaviors, these character defect, like you were talking about, that, okay, if I do good at school, the teachers get off my ass and my parents are happy. If I do good on the field, the football coaches don't bother me and let a lot of stuff slide. If I have a part-time job, parents, everyone's happy. So the outside, everything looked great, but on the inside, I am building up more alcohol, smoking pot every day. 16, cocaine, ecstasy came into the mix. Shrooms were around. Anything available.
So you're in New York, right?
Yep, Rochester.
Rochester, but were you born and raised? Is this all happening in that town?
Yep, this is all in Rochester.
Okay.
Yep.
And the party scene for teenagers sounds about like everywhere, like here for me too.
Yeah, exactly. That how yours similar?
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 33.
33. Okay. I'll be 42 in about a week.
Okay. A happy early birthday.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I got my first major consequence at that age at 16. My grandfather sold me his Lincoln, beautiful car, 18,000 miles. He never drove it anywhere.
Man,
it was like a couch on wheels. It was beautiful.
What year was it?
It was a 98 and this was 2003. So, and I mean, it looked brand new. He drove it to the store and home. That's it. And gave it to me for a steal. And not even a week later, we're going out to party. And I, of course, it's my new car. I want to drive. I can drive. We stop at Denny's on the way home. And I mean, I am so messed up. I can't eat. I had to go in the bathroom at Denny's and throw up and still, basically fought my friends to drive. Not to blame it on them, but they didn't put up too much of a fight because they were in the same position as me drinking. But, we left and I got pulled over, got a DWI. And
oh, shit.
It just was it was a big deal kind of at the time for me, but so I got in trouble at home, of course, lost my license for 18 months, got put on probation. The football coaches wanted to kick me off the team, but the athletic director said he's got to get off the team. We can't have 16-year-olds getting DWIs. A couple days later, they come to me and they're like, he's a really good player. I was very good in football. And they're like, he's starting on both sides. He's a good player. How about we find a different punishment? And that also triggered in my brain, reinforced what I was saying a couple minutes ago of, if I keep producing these outside things, I can get away with stuff. And that filled that gap even more. So that's actually my first time introduced to AA. My new punishment was I had to go to 5 AA meetings and report back to the coaches.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, let me jump in and interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Samuel, good job on 9 months. Proud of you. It's
Very
no
cool.
joke. 9 months is hard, man, especially if you start getting a post-acute withdrawal and understanding what's going on with the rewiring of your brain plus the temptation of the world around you. Keep going. It does get better. Good job, brother or sister.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is incredible.
Anyway, so you're in your teens, you're athletic. You got that going for you. Your punishment is to go to AA meetings in your teens, huh? So 5 a week, did you say?
Well, just 5 total.
Oh, 5 total. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
what
only did 2. And, I went stoned and,
sounds about right.
yeah, I don't remember much of it. I just remember, I when people asked me about it afterwards, I was like, the guy who was sharing was miserable. They gave me some coin and a hug. And that was my way of putting up a barrier down the line of why I wouldn't go back to AA, So it was what it was. Anyway, after that, it progressed a lot in high school. And I got a lot of feedback on my ear right now with the my voice. It's echoing all of a sudden. I don't know if that's anything on your guys or if it's mine.
It sounds good on our end.
Okay, no problem. Also, at that time, I started getting concussions in football. That added a whole new element on. I would keep them as quiet as I could. I would lie to get back on the field quicker, not let them heal. So I went to college. I got a scholarship to play football at Edinburgh, University of Pennsylvania, and went there right from the start partying. We got there 3 weeks prior to school starting, and I didn't even make it till the first day of classes when I got arrested. I was walking home from a party. Those emergency call buttons on campus?
Yeah.
The big blue lights. I don't know. I had a brilliant idea of drop kicking it, and the cops came, of course, and I chewed tobacco. It's one of my other bad habits, and I had a chew in, and he tackled me, and when he rolled me over and was like cuffing me, I was spitting the chew out and spit on him, and so he charged me with that too. So he actually was very nice, and we went to court later on and explained everything to the judge. Like, I don't think he was trying to hurt me, spit on me, all this. But I got in a little bit of trouble with that. And at the same time, partying and drinking a ton and also blacking out on the field with like very small hits, just normal like lineman drills and stuff.
From the concussions? Yeah. And using mixed kind of thing?
I really don't know what extent using had to do with it. To me, I'm sure it didn't help, but I always attributed it more to, I had this image or whatever in myself of like, you can't let the team down. You can't do so I never, even when they made me sit out for whatever reason, I always lied when I wasn't feeling good to get back out there. So I never let any of them heal properly, ever. Right. Yeah. And it just was a snowball effect. Each one got worse and worse. And, then all the little hits. That's what a lot of the new research too with concussions showing. A lot of these sports, it's not even the huge hits necessarily. It's the 60 little lineman hits or whatever sport someone's playing that add up. The following year, I got a real bad concussion on the field and then got one off the field in the same week. Ironically, I was going back to Rochester to see a neurologist, an appointment my parents set up. And of course, in good alcoholic fashion, I'm going home for the weekend. I asked one of my buddies, you want to come home with me to Rochester? He's never been there. Sure. He comes. I have the appointment Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Friday night, I got to go out and get, pounded with my high school buddies that I haven't seen in a while. We go out to a party, get in a fight, and somebody uppercuts me with this big, some type of big ring and just knocked me unconscious. And I show up to the neurologist the next day, just got a concussion 5 days ago in football, and now I got a black eye like this and got another one the night before.
Damn.
Yeah, and he was like, I can't make you not play. He's like, the NCAA is going to make you sit out for probably a minimum of 6 months, but then you can go back on the field if you pass all the, concussion protocol tests. But I would not play if I were you. And that was really hard. And I did decide to stop playing to try to preserve whatever, repair whatever damage I did. But that also screwed me up big time, because for the prior 15 years, I was, football player. That's my identity. And that's gone at that point. So I was lost. I lived in a house with 4 guys who played football. I scheduled my classes around football, and that's gone. I'm having a lot of post-concussive symptoms, and I'm also ramping up addiction big time. All that combined with I had a lot of neck pain from the all those hits, and they were, I was getting painkillers. All that was just this whirlwind of disaster that, I'm taking my prescription way too early. I'm now seeking it out in the street. I'm finding whoever and wherever at the college to party with every single night, and just getting obliterated. And that was I think that's really like the turning point of, even though there was consequences prior, it was somewhat manageable. At least life kept it, I was functioning. At that point, a lot of stuff started to break down, outside stuff too. And, for me, at least, I was in total, and family around me, in total denial about a lot of the issues, until outside consequences almost like throw them in your face to where you got to face reality. Like, maybe he does have a problem, or maybe some more shit is going on besides just the party phase.
That makes me think, like, what you're talking. I used to look at people at work, this last little transition. So my son was in an accident, and like my perspective on life completely changed. And I started watching people, and that's kind of a dangerous place to be. And I want to raise my kids so that they understand, where is your identity based? Like you said, your identity was in, getting the pats on the back, being the coach's good guy, and, coming off the field like fucking Kyle's a badass. And that was your identity. And if you lose that, then who are you? And I looked at people where I worked on base, and they climb the ladder a little bit up there, and that's their life. I mean, nobody's really friends up there either. There's no deep conversations, but, strip them of that job and they're lost. And what's next, but addiction, usually for people like us,
Yep.
I wish I would have learned that earlier in life, to find what I like, who I am, and be happy with it. Yeah. And I think anybody watching, the sooner you can find out who you are, what you like, and live, and how to live in life, the happier you're going to be, because you're going to find your identity, and nothing around you is going to define you but you. You know what I mean? And it sounds like that's kind of what you were going through. And
exactly,
it's a scary place to be, because once that identity is ripped from you, it's a dark hole. And I remember trying to find my identity when I was younger. When I was 20 and 25, I looked like I was 12 still. I wasn't the big, good-looking dude getting all the chicks, and I wanted to be, but then I wanted to be the smart dude, but I never did because I dropped out of high. You know what I mean? I was just, I coveted everything and didn't find anything but crazy and drugs,
Yeah, that's such a good point. Exactly. And I think it all comes back to, self-esteem, but also just being comfortable and acceptable of self too. Like, wherever you're at or whatever. For me, it was always like the next step too. Like, when I get to college, this or that'll happen and I'll change. When I get out, and it's never, I never enjoyed where I was at, but I also always expected, this is going to fast forward a little bit, but it fits what we're talking about perfect. When I was in prison, an old timer came up to me and he's like, "What are you going to do when you get out?" And I was like, I'm going to be sober and I'm going to do great and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "No, you're not." And we almost fought over that. I was like, "Who the hell are you to tell me what I'm going to do?" And he's like, "Look what you're doing in here, chasing everything, getting in trouble." He's like, "There's not some magic rainbow the day you get released that changes you." And that was just so true. I always thought change would come later. Never happy or content with where I was. And you said it perfect. Coveted everything else.
Isn't it feel like too, even in recovery, like there's all of a sudden going to be this big zap moment where everything changes. Like, oh, I'm going to work my program. I still feel miserable, feel like shit, but there's just a one day, all of a sudden, bzz, I'm going to change. And that zap never happens.
No,
it's just a continual struggle and growth. Then you look back, and that's why hindsight's 2020, right? We look back and go, damn, look how far I've come.
Yep. My buddy always said, I forgot it. Like day to day, nothing changes, but you look back after a year, nothing's the same, and it's just so true. Yeah, and after that, I didn't finish college, but I did a couple more years. Pretty much finished without the actual degree, and came home and was working a couple jobs around here. And at this time, oxys really became a big part of my life and story. And I was doing painkillers daily.
So you're in your early 20s then about now?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yep, probably 22, 23.
So you're out of college. You're been concussed out of sports.
Yep.
Now exactly. Drugs are in your life.
Yep.
Okay.
They were always there prior, especially cocaine was a big one in high school. But it was never something I was daily relying on, and now was getting to the point where I was. And, I was, again, just kind of working. I worked a lot always I don't know, I just had a good work ethic, but also I needed to afford my habit. And, I'd work 50 hours a week, spend most of it on drugs, lived with my parents, and that was my life for a couple years. And every time anything got brought up of like finishing your last couple classes of college or like getting a job different than the restaurant or cleaning windows or something, I just strayed away in whatever avenue I knew how to, or played the victim almost too in a lot of those situations. And, so I tried the Geographical cure. I moved to Baltimore. A couple of my college roommates were down there selling life insurance. And these were guys that were, they drank, in college and partied good, but they weren't like some of my other friends that did everything. And so we all, myself included, big time assumed like they're the good friends to be around, which they really were. They're all great guys.
Real quick, for those who may not understand, when you say geographical cure, explain what you mean by that.
That's an awesome one. So a lot of people, myself included, as you're going to hear in a second, we assume that if I move out of wherever I'm at, it will help or cure the addiction or fix it or whatever. Because if I'm not around all the people in Rochester that I know, that I use with the drug dealers, all that, a different city where I don't know anybody, then I won't do those things. In my personal opinion, it never works. It could be one little piece of a change along with, a ton of other lifestyle changes. But the simple fact of taking person, putting them in a different city, being the same person, they will find whatever they're seeking very shortly, unless they change.
That wherever you go, there you are.
Exactly. Yep.
Character defects in your pocket in tow.
Yep. Exactly. And so I was okay for a couple months there. I worked my ass off. We were selling life insurance door to door. We literally worked like 85, 90 hours a week. And I made some money, and I drank a little bit, but I was miserable. I wasn't doing any program, and it was just a matter of time. So part of actually selling the insurance, if the people want it, we got to go through their health history and all that. And part of that is prescriptions. So it was just, one of those days where I'm overworked. I'm not working any program. I'm not in a good place mentally. Okay, Bob, what prescriptions are you taking? He's going through it. He's got Oxy and Percocet. My eyes light up. I couldn't say anything at the moment because I was, wanted to be professional, and I'm a licensed agent. So I didn't. But a couple of days later, I'm in the neighborhood. I see Bob outside. I strike up a conversation in which I assumed was outside of my professional duties, which really wasn't, and end up buying some from Bob, and that started the whole chain again of getting back on those. Again, it's not like I was working a great program, so I don't consider it a relapse. I was still drinking, pretty heavily when we weren't working. It just happened to be picking up painkillers again. And then it didn't take, weeks when I was doing heroin, because it's just so much more plentiful down there and cheaper. And my stay in Baltimore ended. The next couple months were just daily heroin use. And on New Year's Eve, 2012, going into 2013, I was DD. Yeah, Jeffrey, that comment's definitely on point. I was DD, and we go out all day, all night, and everyone's getting messed up. And I was, trying to be true to my duties, and I'm going to drive everyone home safe. So somebody came up to us at like 11 o'clock. We were at a bar, all you could drink. And the girl was like, "Hey, you guys can sleep at my house. It's only like a mile away. You don't have to drive 30 minutes back to Columbia, Maryland." And we were like, "Yeah." And everyone was down. So I went up to the bar and I was like, "Let's go. Just shots of tequila. Don't stop." I woke up in the hospital the next day at like 4 p.m. I'm naked. I'm strapped down to a gurney. I got a catheter in, and the nurse is calling me Nemo. And
Nemo?
Yeah, she's calling me Nemo.
I found Nemo.
And I'm like, what happened? And I kept arguing with her. I'm like, "I gotta pee," and she's like, "No, you don't." And I'm like, "What do you mean? No, I don't. I gotta pee." And she's like, "Look down," and I got a tube in, and she's like, "No, you don't. It's doing it for you." But she's calling me Nemo, and I'm like, "What happened?" She's like, "We don't really know, but you had to get airlifted out of the Baltimore harbor by the fire department and a Coast Guard because you either tried to commit suicide, tripped, or got in a fight and fell off the Baltimore harbor about 30 feet down into the Chesapeake." And it was like, chunks of ice. It's New Year's, so it's pretty much frozen. One of my buddies, I guess, jumped in and was holding me up until they got there. And I don't remember any of it. It was just a disaster. And the worst part of that was another one of my buddies who was up on the harbor, looking down, called my father in New York.
Is that the arched bridge?
It wasn't the bridge. It was where Fells Point and them in Baltimore. It wasn't off the bridge. It was off the harbor area.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if I would have survived off the bridge, but
holy crap,
yeah,
dude, that is crazy.
It was, and I don't remember a ton of it to have details. I was able to put it together through there was a bunch of people watching too, so somebody had a video that I was able to see, and I never got it back. It was on my old cell phone that I lost, but all you see is me down there. You don't see what actually happened in the beginning. But my other buddy, who's pretty drunk, feeling good too, and this isn't his fault. He was trying to do what he thought was best. He called my dad in New York and was like, "We might lose him. He's in the water. He's hypothermic. He's flailing around." And to this day, when my dad, if he's brought it up a couple times, just for different reasons, it's just crushing. Like, he's 7 hours away. He can't do anything. He gets a drunken phone call from one of my buddies. Like, he doesn't have any details. He doesn't know what's going on. And he just, it destroys me thinking about that. And that's what I was saying earlier, Felice, with the family and all you guys go through. It's just, it's heartbreaking. It's incredible in a terrible way, but you guys are incredible for what you go through and put up with and how strong you guys are. So then I moved back to Rochester after that. And the next 6-7 months were just a disaster of addiction. At this point, it was all IV heroin and cocaine. I was just using speedballs every single day. And May of 2013, I got arrested and ended up getting charged with a bunch of, burglaries and grand larcenies and all these different things related to that. And I was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. and went and did my time in prison, New York State. I was at a bunch of different spots. First year was a joke. You know, I got high almost every day. We ate pasta, we worked out, and watched football and played cards. And I was like, this is easy. Like, this is a joke. Everybody kept telling me, you're gonna go to the box sooner or later. You're gonna go to solitary. You're gonna fail a drug test. The way you use, just be prepared.
So you're using in prison?
Yeah, pretty much daily.
Oh wow!
It wasn't like IV, heroin and coke on the street, but like we smoked pot every day, K2, Suboxone a lot. They made homemade hooch in there. I mean, over the course of the whole time, I saw pretty much every street drug at some point in time in there. Which is sad, but the truth. And almost a year to the day of getting there, I fail a drug test and get put on the radar and get sentenced to 30 days in solitary. And that was the start of the last 2.5 years, which were the polar opposite of the first year. It was all solitary the last 2.5 years. In and out, just getting in trouble. I was on their radar, and I ended up doing 12 months and 25 days in the box. And that was
12 months in solitary?
12 months and 25 days in solitary, yeah.
Holy shit. Like, describe that a little bit. Like, how dark and crazy does that get?
So it wasn't 12 months and 25 days straight. It was 5 times in there. The longest was 123 days. But it was almost straight because it was like I did 123 days. I got out. I didn't make it 23 days. Got in trouble again, went right back for another 5 months. So like out of 11 months, 10 of them were in there that first time. But I've done a lot of videos on solitary and done some work with some outreach groups and people either through the internet or here in Rochester. Solitary to me was by far the most traumatic and insane place on this planet. It's nuts. By day 4, almost all reality's out the window. It's just talking to the walls, circling, hearing voices. I mean, hallucinations, just total insanity. And I never would have comprehended that prior to it. Even now I'll put a video on like TikTok or Instagram or something about it, and I'll get hundreds of comments like, I'm a loner, I could deal with it. And I don't blame anybody for not, understanding it if they haven't been there. But I'm like, you're not in your bedroom with your phone, and like you go to the bathroom, or like even if you spend 3 days in your room, like on day 4, you could still like walk outside, like sunshine, conversation, all those things taken away. It's just with a total addiction brain with no treatment, just stuck in there in yourself. I mean, it crushed me in so many ways, multiple suicide attempts in there. It just was crippling. And New York actually has put a law in just recently. As of next March, they're going to try to stop solitary. I don't know. They're fighting it. The prison union is. So I don't know if it's going to go through or not. It already did go through everything, but it could get repealed. But I think those are good steps, because I've always said, whatever mental health you may have prior, it's going to get 10 times worse after solitary. And if you have none, you're going to come out with some. It just makes anger worse, addiction worse, everything worse. And that was the problem. The second I would get out of solitary, they'd put me in a general population at a new prison. And the one time I was sitting there, I was at Mohawk, and it's in like the middle of New York, and I'm sitting on my bed and I'm just like shaking. And this part of my brain is just fried, suicidal, like just end it. This part of my brain is saying the only thing that'll make you feel better is drugs. They're right there in the bathroom getting high. Go ask them if you could get high with them. And then that little voice left is like, getting high is what keeps getting you sent back there. So if you get high, you're going to go back. But if you don't get high, you're going to probably kill yourself. And I go in and I got high. And that was all that kind of I could cope with at the time. But then again, a month later, I was right back on the daily use and got in trouble and went right back. It was a disaster. Absolute insanity. After that, I got out and this is kind of what we were talking about earlier. I got out and I didn't do anything different. I just, I thought I'd change. And I just worked and I assumed the gym and work would get me sober. And it didn't. And I started using again and I got violated. And they sent me to the boot camp, that parolee boot camp they have here in New York. It's basically a 90-day intense. It's based on boot camp minus any weapons or defense training. So you guys would know this. You guys have both Air Force, right? Or one of the,
we're civilian, but yeah.
Okay. And so up at 5:30, get down on the floor, give me push-ups, your bunk better be made, all that. You had to march everywhere you went. And
tough love.
Yeah, big time. It was a lot of, we're going to break you down and build you back up. And they did a lot of humiliation things too. If two guys got in a fight, they would marry them. So for the next week, they had to hold hands everywhere they went. And not so much when I went, but in the 90s and early 2000s, they would make them wear a dress and they put makeup on them. They humiliated you. That part calmed down a little bit for obvious reasons, our culture and everything changing. But there was if you didn't finish your food, they'd put it in your pocket and you had to wear it all day. Just things like that to, I guess break you down. That was actually the best thing that could have happened to me. I was so mad when they sentenced me to that, but my life was total chaos. And then I go somewhere where somebody's telling me what to do 24 hours a day. I didn't have to think. And I needed that big time, just structure. And what also was great about that is when there would be arms or defense training at a normal boot camp, they substituted it there with AA. So there was a lot of treatment and recovery. And that was awesome. And that was also the first kind of tipping point, rock bottom tipping point for me. They brought in two guys from the street from AA to speak to us. And I remember listening to this guy, Jimbo, and he had a big smile on his face. He told his story, and he was where I was a decade prior. He was a parolee at that place. And I just remember thinking for the first time, I relate to him. He's not a guard. He's not a counselor. He's a guy who was here, who's now there, who's smiling. Maybe that will work. And when I got out, I said, I'm going to give this AA a shot and started going to a lot of meetings. And a lot of, again, that fear always creeps in of talking to the video showed me earlier. I can't wait to release it, but talking to people, being quiet at meetings, sitting on my phone the whole time. I did a lot of that, but it's God, higher power, the universe just sent me in the right spot where things happened that were just incredible. They always said you need a sponsor. I looked for somebody who'd be my friend, a guy my age, looks like me, he'll be easy. I ask him, he's like, nope, can't do it. I'm way too busy. Ask that guy. Points me to a guy who doesn't look like me, doesn't talk like me. He's 25 years older than me. I ask him, it's been almost 5 years now. He's been my sponsor. Incredible. I mean, he's like a second father to me. But things like that where it just was guided me in such the right direction of, incredible change. And
that's awesome. We were talking in our 1 o'clock meeting today. We always read the just for today. And the one was today was the only requirement was a desire to quit using. And if you're desiring to quit using, you're a member of Recovering Addicts, Soberdogs, freaking NAAA, right? And you said you saw a guy, Jimbo, and that's who just he touched your heart. And I guess it kind of just made me rethink that conversation we had earlier today about what do you do about sponsors and mentors and what are you supposed to do? And I would say go to meetings until you find your Jimbo. And then once you get that Jimbo in your life, the one person that just seems to touch your heart, start looking for people that are like that. Who's your Jimbo? And surround yourself with Jimbos. You know what I mean? That's what just kind of think of today.
That's going to stick now. You're going to hear people all over being like, where's your Jimbo? Find your Jimbo. That's awesome. You totally got credit for that one. That's awesome. But that's so true. Oh, man.
Find your Jimbo.
Yep, exactly.
So you go through prison. You've been solitary mind screwed.
Yeah.
You get out. You're still using. You get in trouble again. You're sentenced to this boot camp. And you find your Jimbo, and now you're starting to want recovery. You see what they have, and you want it. So now you're kind of looking for sponsors. Where are you at using wise? Like, what head games are you playing with yourself? Are you still kind of relapsing in and out, or what's going on with you?
I wasn't relapsing. I was definitely craving big time and freaking out a little bit. I did get on Suboxone, helped out big time. At the time, it was definitely needed. And I was doing pretty good in doing a lot of the things I was supposed to with the meetings and steps and everything. And find your Jimbo. So November, Thanksgiving time was always a little tough because I did a couple Thanksgivings in solitary, and it was just brutal. Like, they beat the hell out of me one of the times in there in Thanksgiving. And it just, I don't know, that whole like couple days surrounding it was always a little hard. Yeah. And that first year, and the next year I relapsed Thanksgiving weekend, both years in a row. And when I look back, the signs were all there. It was getting a little complacent with recovery, not going to as many meetings, not calling my sponsor as much. And there'd be little like fail safes I put into play that I would start to skip. For example, cash. Cash is always a big trigger to me. So, I let my father, my paycheck went to his account, and I'd put like $50 on a prepaid card at the beginning of the week, and that was it. But then all of a sudden, when I got $30 or whatever for something, I'd start, pocketing it and not saying it. And I just think like, I'm strong enough now. But then 30, 8-9 times builds up, and now I got 300, under my bed or whatever. And all that culminated one day where I got let out of work early. It was the day before Thanksgiving. They were like, hey, you're off tomorrow. You don't have to come in Friday or Saturday. So I basically had until Monday off now. And I had like $200 in my pocket. And I remember looking at my phone, thinking about all the things they taught me of like call somebody. And I picked it up and I threw it down and just drove to the dealer's house and, was getting high again.
So we talk about, I'm sure you heard it too, but closing back doors and relapse happens way before you start using the drug, and it sounds like you had closed a back door with the cash trigger, but then you went back and you left that crack open and you allowed it to just flow in, and however long it takes, a week, a day, a month, but all of a sudden, bam, without even thought, you're just right to the dope house, getting high, and you've already justified every reason why it's a good thing.
Exactly. And that's such a good analogy you said with the back doors, leaving it open. So on point. It's same thing with like phone numbers. I always say that too, of like, just get a new phone, just get a whole new number. And I don't even like, for myself at least too, and like I encourage people, don't even go through and delete old contacts, because you're going to sit there and look at it and remind yourself of this name or whatever. Like, just get rid of it. Start over. But that's exactly right. Leaving little back doors open. And I also assumed at the time, and I even said it, like the moment before I got high, I had a plan of what I was going to do, how much I was going to do, and how long I was going to do it. And I always had a problem with I could never just do it for the day because I'd always have something left over. And then I would do one little thing in the morning. And then it's like, well, I started a little bit today. I might as well finish out today. And that's what I, would plan on doing. But I mean, to the second that I got high, all those plans are out my window. It was like blinders were on and just dope. And, the next 5 days I went on a solid binge. But after 5 days without outside consequences, which it always took that prior, usually, parole didn't find out. And my parents found out and, confronted me. But I don't know, on that fifth day, I decided to stop. I mean, the only major damage was, of course, me using for 5 days and about $1,000, down the drain. But that was it. And I'm extremely lucky. I didn't die, didn't get rearrested, all those other things. And that Monday, I went back to my home group and stood up and got my 24-hour coin, which I didn't want to do and admit that, but I did. And got back on track and did a good was working a solid program. And the next year, almost to the day, similar thing happened. And this time I would say a lot of it was due to complacency. At this point, I'm coming up on a year. I was supposed to speak at my home group, which was very big. It was like 130 people. It's a big gym. I've been going every week consistently. I knew everybody. I'd gotten a little comfortable with it, working the steps. But with all that, good things in life were happening where all of a sudden recovery took a back burner to that extra shift, took a back burner to, a girl wants to hang out or whatever. And got complacent again. And then, got hit with a pretty, severe, like, I don't know what you call it, depression episode or whatever around that Thanksgiving time again. And, went to my coping mechanism, which was using, even though I had been taught a lot of good ones during recovery, but that complacency just kicked in. And same thing, this time was only 4 days, but that happened again. And God got me back to a meeting 4 days later without dying, without anything, again, major happening. How, I don't know, but, somebody's looking out for me because I made it back. And that's also, excuse me.
That's crazy, man. That's just it makes me think of the cliche, whatever you put before your recovery, you're going to lose.
Yep.
And we have to try it for ourselves, though, don't we? Aren't we the addicts? We learn the hard way, even no matter what we're told.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that was so funny what you said earlier. I don't know if it was I don't think it was on the recording, but if there was a pill that cured addiction, we'd have to take 2. It's so true. We'd be like, give me more. Yeah. That's also around the time I started Soberdogs. And that was, so the name is just because I'm a huge animal lover. I love dogs, love animals, always been a big part of my recovery and my life. The guys in prison would always bust my balls because they had pictures of like Cardi B and their girlfriend in a thong on the board and Nicki Minaj or whoever. And I had my dogs. And, that's just, I think dogs are such my biggest anxiety reliever, and that unconditional love is just like a goal, almost like to show that back and show that to other people and stuff. But why it started is I would just, I would see people at the store, wherever, especially like their family, and they'd ask how, how's Susie doing? And I went to high school with Susie. I'd say her parents or something. She's great, married, 2 kids, doing great, got a good job. Her husband's this and that. How are you? And I'm freaking out. I'm a couple weeks, a month sober, whatever, living with my parents, making $8 an hour at the restaurant. But I didn't want to lie to them but I obviously I didn't tell him that. So I would just, whatever. And I always liked speaking. I always kind of connected with people a little bit different. And I was like, you know what, just put it out there, and who knows who it could help, and it'll definitely help you come to terms with it. And so I just started doing that. I started with a couple YouTube videos, and then I started the website, and I was writing articles and stories, kind of a combination of like research and firsthand experience. And, then random little opportunities came up. Like I've done a couple pieces like on solitary and things like that for other things and a couple news organizations. And then the past 2 years, really focusing on like videos, YouTube. I do a lot on TikTok, Instagram, those I'm all over videos. And it's just like you mentioned earlier with your Discord, it's just incredible to connect. I have somebody I talk to probably every 4 or 5 days. She's in New Zealand and recovering from meth. And I don't know, she found me through like Pinterest or something. And it's like, it's incredible the people that you just connect with and everyone on this chat and watching. It's like, it's so, I don't know. Do you swear on here? I don't want to.
Go ahead.
It's so fucking cool to just like connecting with you guys right now. We're a different time zone. We're, 2,000 miles away. And it's like, I could tell if I was in the same city as you, we'd be hanging out.
100%.
We'd be working out. We'd be doing whatever. And
yep.
Like, it's just so cool. And that's what keeps me going, doing it, all the time. I do wish though, I will say, so I quit my job at the restaurant about 2 months ago and am doing this full time now, even though I don't make nearly enough to justify that, but I know
exactly where you're at.
Yeah. But it's incredible that you have your wife helping you do it, because that is the one thing is it does get a little lonely. Because I'll be like here by myself 5-6 hours a day working on the computer. But the nice part is having the freedom to, or like I hit a meeting every day, I hit the gym every day, even if it's not a great meeting or great workout, it's the social aspect of seeing people and talking and shooting the shit. But it is awesome, and hoping to expand to what I don't necessarily know, but we'll see.
Shree says we got lots in common.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's and that's kind of where I'm at today. Doing well. I always have to keep my recovery first, which can definitely be still a balance. I catch myself, I'll be doing something for like a Soberdogs video or whatever, and I'll tell myself this is recovery, which to an extent it is a little bit, but it is also does not replace the recovery I need and does not go ahead of sitting with my sponsor, getting to the root causes of the problem, going through the steps, getting to the meeting and giving that new guy a ride and giving him some experience on the way home and some phone numbers. It, for me, at least, it does not replace that. And the moment I think it's gonna is the moment I'm in trouble.
Yep.
Because
this can't become our identity either.
No,
if the internet shut off today, we better be happy.
Yep, that is a fact.
I'm with you on that one, brother.
And that's a deep point. That's a hard point. The internet. Well, I mean, if the internet shut off today, I think half the world would go insane. But that's that's a good one. So it's just.
What's your plans? Where do you see yourself in a year, 2, 3 years from now?
I would love to. I definitely have slowed on the writing a little bit, and would love to ramp up a lot more of the videos, speaking. I've been able to go to a couple schools and speak to kids in high school and stuff. That is something I love doing at any venue, any amount of people, whatever the case is. So public speaking would be ideal. And if I have the ability, I would also love to do some type of traveling doing it. Like I have a wedding in Arkansas in October, and the first thing on my mind was like, I know Nicole from Real Talk Recovery. I don't know if you guys know her, have heard of her.
Yeah, we're friends with her.
Yeah, and she's in Arkansas, and I'm like, if I'm going there, I'm going to stay with her for a day and do a couple videos and connect and meet her face to face and like things like that. I would love to get a bus, get a van, whatever, and like come to Utah, see you guys, go here and just travel around and see all the crazy and awesome different recovery things. I told you earlier, I got a buddy in Georgia who does a lot of CrossFit recovery. Things like that would just be incredible somehow to navigate. Of course, with a couple dogs with me.
Hell yeah, we got a dog.
Nice.
Come here, Megan.
I think I saw her earlier.
Come here, Megan. Come here.
What kind is she? Oh, nice, beautiful shepherd, huh? Hi.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
What's her name? Megan?
Yeah, that's Megan.
Hi, Megan. I actually at the moment. Hey, buddy. Someone's behind you.
That's Link.
What's up, Link? How are you?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Got the Superman shirt. Yeah.
For any of you wondering about Real Talk Recovery, here's Nicole's channel right here. Merck just posted. She is really into maintenance assisted treatment stuff. Yeah. Give her a call. She's got a heart of gold. Join her community too, man. There's not enough recovery. You can't overwhelm yourself with recovery, people.
That is so true. Yeah, and Nicole's incredible. She like the way she has her phone just available to people 24/7 is. Yeah. I could never do that. I set all these little like rules for myself. Like even tonight when when I'm done, like I won't touch my phone till the morning. So if somebody calls, it's like I'll take care of it in the morning. But I don't know. That's just part of my program. A little bit of
same here. I set boundaries. Saturdays are that for me.
Every Saturday?
Yeah, Saturdays when I detach.
Nice. Is it hard?
Just because I'm in the beginning of trying to grow something.
Yeah.
I want to stay working all the time.
Yeah.
So, but at other times, no, I'm like, fuck you, phone. Don't even buzz one more time.
Exactly. Yeah. That is such a unique and hard balance because it's, you want to be that. I'm going to give it 1,000,000% and grow and change the world. But like, we can't lose ourselves in it because, you still got to enjoy life and the kids and everything. I don't have any kids, but enjoy anything that we have. Joke time with Link.
Right. Why did the farmer cross the road?
Why did the farmer cross the road? I don't know. Why?
To catch the chicken.
What did you say?
Oh. Why did the chicken cross the road?
To catch the farmer.
To get to the idiot's house. Knock knock.
Who's there?
The chicken.
That's a dirty joke.
That's awesome. Does he come in all the time and do jokes?
Yeah, he's the one that got in the accident 4 years ago. I don't know if you've seen the scars on his head.
A little bit, yeah.
But we almost lost him. But he came out of that with a different personality, and he's just this funny jokester.
What
super
happened?
Introverted before the accident. Yeah. Comes out of the accident, and there he is telling jokes and being a comedian. You're like, what
really?
The hell?
Wow. Do you mind sharing a little bit what happened? Like what kind of accident?
Yeah, 4 years ago, 7 of the kids, a lot of people in this channel, I've heard this story a million times, but this is one thing that gave me the justification to try to kill myself with booze. But they came down the hill in this little UTV. It's like a little dump bed truck. Yeah. It flipped. It launched all the kids out except him. He went underneath it, and the tire crushed his head, split his skull from ear to ear. His eye was like almost hanging out, bleeding out of everything. And I had to go and like roll him over, and blood was a horrible thing. 3 ambulance rides, helicopters, months in primary children's hospital down here. They had to remove his skull, told us to pull the plug at one point. And
oh my God.
Yeah. So when I say like the accident, there's like this in my life, there's this line that's been drawn, it's like pre-accident, post-accident.
Yeah.
And post-accident, my perspective on life is not what it used to be.
Wow. Well, hopefully for the better. I'm hoping.
Oh, 100% for the better. It's weird because, good did come from it, even though at the time I was finger in the air to God, screaming.
Yep. Were all the other kids okay?
My other son, Zylan, he broke his back. Our nephew that was in it broke his arm and then broke his leg. When I looked over at him when I got to the accident, his bone was sticking out of his leg. The other 2 kids got severe road rash. One kid got big old slice on the side of his head that he still has a scar from. And then my oldest boy, Amos, was in it, and he got like a cut under here, and that was about it. He tucked and rolled. And
Pretty sure he did a backflip out of it.
Yeah.
He like jumped in a brand new.
He's like an acrobat.
Wow.
it was craziest day ever.
Yeah. Is that Amos?
This is Island.
That okay.
Yeah, Amos
Wow.
isn't here right now.
That is unbelievable, but
I'll have to send you the link. I made a video about like my perspective of it,
yeah.
of what I went through. I wrote the music to it, and everything.
You play music too?
I was, yeah, for a little while I was playing bass. I've played music, bass and drums my whole life. I haven't been playing this last year and a half, but
Cool. Wow.
yeah, before I really got into YouTube, I was playing a lot of bass and recording, and
Wow. But yeah, that had to be incredible.
yeah, it was
I mean,
insane.
in a nuts way. That's awesome that everyone's around, and that's funny too. That now he's the comedian.
Yeah. So like a lot of people that watch this stream regularly, they're like, "Hey, where's Leaky's joke? Let's get his joke for the day."
Yeah,
The sweetest, kindest kid you'll ever meet.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
100%.
That's awesome. Wow.
Cool. Well, you want to let everybody know where they can find you? I've been posting your YouTube link throughout the whole stream. I would
Awesome.
suggest everybody join. Let's expand our recovery community into Soberdogs.
Of course. And I don't have an exact date, but sometime in the very near future, hopefully next couple of weeks, I'd like to, same thing with you two on my channel.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty much Soberdogs everywhere. Soberdogs YouTube, Soberdogs.com. The only one is Instagram, it's Soberdogs 2. I can't get the just regular Soberdogs account yet. But yeah, I'd say TikTok, YouTube are the ones I post on the most. Yeah, so definitely a TikToker. It just happens to be it's an extremely effective and incredible app. It's a great reach.
TikTok is amazing. I'm on there too.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look as soon as I get off. I'm gonna look you up on there too. But yeah, that's where sober. You just type in Soberdogs, you usually find me anywhere. And YouTube's what I'm really focusing on now too. So definitely gonna be putting up a lot more stuff and hoping to meet up with a lot more people, do videos, anything recovery, like you said, expand and just reach out and connect with people. It's gonna be awesome.
Hell yeah. All right, let's say the Serenity Prayer and then shut this down, but don't go nowhere. We'll talk here after this. Hey, guys.
Of course.
3, 2, 1, go. All right. Oh, and after the live stream, Brad is opening up a Zoom for anybody who wants to chit chat in Zoom. Ready? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Amen.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Hey, Kyle, thank you so much for being on the channel, and I'm sure everybody you'll be seeing, probably everybody going to get to know each other.
Of course. Absolutely.
All right, don't go nowhere. I'm going to shut this down real quick. But hey, y'all. We'll be back next Sunday. We'll be going through our book, Staying Sober by Terrence Gorski, Learning Relapse Prevention. So until then, do not put yourself in a high-risk situation. Stay strong, work your program, and remember, we recover better together.